Looks like Mason Mount. It's an absolute beauty! Finishing third. And here goes Giroud at the other end. Can he finish it? He can! He's finished it brilliantly! 2 goals in 2 minutes for Chelsea at the end of this first half. Giroud on target yet again. And Chelsea have a vice-like grip on a game that was going nowhere.
Fernandes, hop and a skip and a goal. Kasper Schmeichel, oh, it's going to be Jesse Lingard to seal it. Manchester United are going to the Champions League. There's no doubt about it now.
This is how the pandemic-prolonged 2019-2020 Premier League season ended on a historically frenetic final day where all the 20 teams kick off at the exact same time. Although what we witnessed today was nowhere near close to the infamous Aguero moment, there were plenty of ups and downs on a dramatic final day. Ultimately, one of the 3 teams vying for last 2 Champions League places had to feel hard done by, and 2 of the relegation-threatened sides had to join Norwich in the second tier. This is the Legion of Sports. I'm Praswal, and today is July the 26th. Today, we're looking back on what was a roller coaster of a season. Plenty to go through, moment of the year, highs and lows of the year, our weekly awards, and much more. But first, let's start in the Midlands, where Champions League places were settled. With me, as always, I have the mercurial Mank himself, Avinash Shah. On a scale of 1 to 10, how relieved are you?
I would say about 6.5. Again, I mean, listen, I was nervous before the game, just because I was more hopeful for Chelsea to lose the game rather than United to actually win the final. I mean, just because the way we've been playing for past 3 games. But yeah, as soon as Lingard put the ball back in, yeah, I was pretty relieved.
Our listeners probably know it already. Manchester United defeated Leicester at their own backyard to clinch the 3rd place and then allowed Chelsea to clinch 4th place by defeating Leicester. It was a professional performance from Manchester United.
Yeah, I mean, what a great day, man. I mean, yeah, I went to the bar in the morning around 8:30, where you had like 7 TV hanging up in the wall, and all the games were playing at the same time. And there were a bunch of other fans, Chelsea fans, United fans, some Leicester, Villa, everyone mixed up. It was great to watch their emotions overall. And I mean, how about Jesse Lingard, man, scoring his first goal, and
I know, right?
who would have realized he was going to be the last scorer for this season?
98th minute. Did you see a few of the fans who actually bet on him to go the whole season without scoring or assisting,
Yeah,
and they were seconds away.
I think it cost them about $670 for a $10 money bet. I had a 9-match parlay today, and everyone hit the thing, but except Spurs, who kind of always kills me off, man.
Did you go over or under?
I went over 2.5 goal, but it was only 2 goals.
With Jose Mourinho's team?
I mean, the way Mourinho has been, encouraging his squad to, win the last 2 games, then we'll have Europa next season. So
Yeah, but he always puts his defense first. That you, and it's the thing that you have always been mentioning in the show, quite frankly.
yeah, I think this might be the last time I'm gonna bet anything sports related. I mean, Mourinho, man.
Mourinho definitely missed out on top 4, but his side pipped Wolves to the Europa League spot, the final Europa League spot in 6th. As far as the Champions League goes, it was a thorough and professional performance from Manchester United. They didn't really need to be convincing. Today wasn't about the performance; it was all about the 3 points, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I was nervous. I mean, the whole squad was nervous. I'm pretty sure, but I do believe United was set up to play a draw instead of actually going for it.
Absolutely. Because the ball was on Leicester's court, they had the honors. They had to score.
Yeah, and even Maguire in the interview, he said we were trying to play a draw, and as soon as they went to the halftime and saw the Chelsea scoreline, and then they actually thought maybe we should just go for it a little bit because if Leicester gets the last minute goal, well, we are in big trouble. So I think the defense was well set up, and we didn't take much risk, and we just got the job done.
Indeed, Victor Lindelof was standing throughout the game, and I don't criticize Manchester United for one bit, because today was all about getting through the hurdle, getting through the line, and a great team performance. Because, like I said, the onus was on Leicester City. Leicester's plan was to, basically not overcommit, and towards the end of the game, just keep it, as a draw till the final few minutes or like last quarter, and throw the kitchen sink. But that penalty basically sealed the deal for United.
Yeah, one more time.
And this time was 100% penalty, no doubt whatsoever.
Oh yeah. I mean,
And
Johnny Evans, man. Once a red, always a red.
yeah,
Kudos to him.
that was actually the best performance by Johnny Evans for Manchester United.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think we did touch on it in the beginning of the after the restart, that the bigger squad is probably gonna get through. And like we said, Chelsea, United, the bigger squad, they had the depth and experience, I would say, to actually get in the Champions League. And Wolves and Leicester, they had a great season, but rightly so. I mean, I think they belong in Europa next season than Champions League.
I would definitely agree with that fact or facts. Leicester City's their depth was, or the lack of it was also, because they were definitely missing their fullbacks Ben Chilwell and Ricardo Pereira, and they had to play youngsters as well. Madison wasn't there. Harvey Barnes just came out from injury, so it definitely dented their chances. So good luck to Leicester next season. As far as United, one last thing. When I see United these days, obviously everyone knows Bruno Fernandes, but when Bruno Fernandes signed for United, basically United killed two birds with one stone, because not only did they bring in a creative midfielder, so they basically solved the conundrum related to Paul Pogba. And this is how Paul Pogba was the main focal point, but now you could see he doesn't have the pressure. He can play naturally.
Absolutely. All we need is get Jadon Sancho in the mix, and we should be good next season.
Moving on, Chelsea joined the likes of Manchester United in securing Champions League places. They had a comfortable victory over Wolves. Like we already mentioned, Wolves' lack of squad depth didn't help them. Olivier Giroud once again in the goal scoring column. Mason Mount as well with a breathtaking free kick.
Yeah, about that free kick, I wonder what Frank Lampard was thinking at that moment, because last game against Liverpool, he was yelling at Klopp and his staff members because that wasn't a free kick, it wasn't a foul, and Liverpool just got and Trent got the free kick from which they actually scored. I mean, even today that wasn't a foul at Alonso, but they got the free kick which they scored. So I wonder how Frank Lampard will be feeling it right now.
So that silent bust up between Klopp and Frank Lampard,
Yeah.
I'm all for it. You know why? Lately, these managers, most of these Premier League managers, they're too nice. I want to see this. When we go back 10 years before, when Mourinho wasn't coping well with Rafa Benitez, Wenger and Mourinho, and sometimes Wenger and Sir Alex, and all these top managers. Although they had that mutual respect for each other, but publicly in the media they were against each other, and they kind of brought some excitement to the fans, and leading up to the games as well. Some of these managers are too nice at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, well, I get the dispute part of it. I mean, we all want to see rival and all those, but the language that Frank Lampard used against Klopp, using the F word and throwing it, you only won one league title. What are you on about? I mean, Klopp right now is probably the best manager in the world, and for Frank Lampard, who in his career have absolutely won nothing as a manager, for someone like to go after Klopp and using all those bad languages, I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, that's true, and I feel like that's part of learning curve for Frankie, because he's just a couple of years into this job, and he's just retired as a professional footballer, and he has that adrenaline going. So he needs to fix that definitely, and he needs to have more respect for club, anyways.
Yeah, but speaking of the Chelsea season, I think they were great, especially with the way they started the season by 4-0 defeat, and I think they had another draw. So everyone was going after Frank, and also he had the transfer ban.
Yeah, so they had the transfer ban. They couldn't sign any players. Their best player, Eden Hazard, left for Real Madrid. So, cards were against Frank Lampard. So the job he did is phenomenal. And just to scrape into the top four, that's all they want. And if they win the FA Cup, that'll be a cherry on the cake for them. But on the downside, though, they conceded 54 goals this season, the same amount as Brighton, who were contending for relegation or fighting to avoid the relegation. So that will be a huge concern. And did you see Timo Werner was in stands today for the first time? They have signed
Yeah.
Ziyech. They're trying to get Kai Havertz. Man, they need to fix that left back position as well as a center back maybe.
Or the goalkeeper. What are you talking about? I mean, the most expensive goalkeeper was on the bench today.
Yeah, he was. As ridiculous as it sounds, they are trying to sign Jan Oblak.
Well, that is the full-time whistle, and that is the end of the road for Watford in the Premier League for now.
Chris Kavanagh's whistle brings the game to a close, and at the moment it brings Bournemouth's 5-year stay in the Premier League to an end. But if they are going to go down, and we'll find that out soon, then they've gone down fighting. Have they just left themselves too much to do? They don't know it yet. They haven't heard the result of what's happening at West Ham. They are still playing.
Good turn again by Davis. It's John McGinn finding Grealish. Grealish! Wow! Wow! Stunning, scintillating, and surviving. Aston Villa's captain leaves his club a legacy. It's Jack Grealish's goal that will cement Aston Villa's Premier League status.
Elsewhere in the table, Captain Fantastic, Jack Grealish was once again Aston Villa's hero as he led his side to a fantastic and unprecedented last couple of weeks to avoid the drop. A couple of weeks ago, they were 7 points off from safety. Now, against all the odds, they're staying in the Premier League.
Yeah, Aston Villa, I mean, what a great, I would say, last 3 weeks of football that they actually played, which they should have been doing for like a really long time. But if you look at the squad in the papers, I think Aston Villa should be around 14th or 15th team in the Premier League. But, they've really been awful the whole season. But again, Jack Grealish, when needed, he showed up. And I mean, what a save, man, for him.
Yep. Every time I watch Jack Grealish, he's so creative and he's their best player by a mile. And all of these top players, I feel like he isn't ready-made for top tier clubs such as Liverpool, Manchester City, or even United and stuff. But he, like that second tier, maybe Tottenham or even Arsenal or Everton, were trying to chase the pack. Could be a brilliant signing for them.
Yeah, not sure if Aston Villa will be able to keep Jack Grealish now, especially if they're staying in Premier League. I think the best for Aston Villa would be to get a decent amount of money for him and might actually look into the rebuilding of the squad.
Absolutely. And Aston Villa, they had to do a rebuild last season because if you remember now, the previous season when they were in the championship, they were financially struggling, so they had to loan all these players. So I won't criticize them too much for not starting well this season. Their defense wasn't that good, but just because they had all these pieces and they didn't have much time to fit the puzzles.
You have to feel bad for Bournemouth too, man. Such a small, little, lovely team. To see them in Premier League for 5 years and now Eddie Howe and his squad going down, a sad instance.
It really is sad. The team from South Coast, they were here in the Premier League for 5 seasons. They played beautiful football every time they played.
Yeah, and Watford just crumbled like a piece of bread after the restart. Like Deeney didn't even look prepared to even play a single game. I mean, he was one of those players who opposed the idea of restart.
And I think we now know why. So looking back at Bournemouth, we do feel sad for them. However, they did their job. Like they had to win today. So they basically had, I think, 5% chance. So basically out of 27 permutations, only one of those had to go their way.
Mhm.
And it nearly happened. But they just fell short in the end.
And also, how about the decision from Eddie Howe to not play Fraser after the way he came out and said, he demanded a transfer?
Yeah, I don't know what goes in behind the scenes. Fraser is a fantastic talent.
Exactly.
His assist record shows.
And Eddie Howe decided not to include him in the squad or to have him in the playing squad after he went on to the transfer demand. So I get the relegation part of it. I know it's going to hurt for a season, but I mean, Eddie Howe, man, kudos for him to sticking up for his club.
See, fantastic job he has done. And back to one final point about Ryan Fraser. See, it's one of those things where managers are lauded if it goes well. Let's first say if they survived, people wouldn't criticize him for putting out Fraser. But now, there'll be fans and pundits alike who will say, "Hey, you have to play your best player." So, it's always lose scenario for managers. One final note about the relegation's dogfight. Watford. You see how many managers they have changed this season?
3.
Yep, they sacked 3. So they started with Javi Gracia, they had Quique Sanchez Flores, and then they brought in Nigel Pearson, who did a phenomenal job. Trust me, in the beginning they were struggling, man, and now they were doing just fine before the pandemic hit, and now, I feel like they deserve it. Like I don't want any team to go down, but in a way, how they handle the managers alike, it's just shambles.
But I think that's how they've been handling their managers all even for the past seasons.
Yeah, true.
Even when they got promoted, I think they had like 3 managers come in the club.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I think they have had like 10 managers in the last 4 or 5 years. No surprises there, but there comes a time where stability matters. So not having that platform or groundwork didn't help them. And you sack your manager like 2 games before when you're in a relegation dogfight. Come on, man.
I think they were hoping for a new manager bounce.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the team which was already relegated before today or before the kickoff today, Norwich City, were once again battered by Man City. Did you see those goals from De Bruyne?
I did not watch the City game today because there were like 6 games going on, but none of them had the City game on. So
I watched the highlights. The goals he scored, phenomenal, always.
do you think he's good enough to make your team of the season?
Who will see next? It's plain obvious.
Jordan Henderson over Kevin De Bruyne, man. I mean, get out of here. Juventus have won a 9th consecutive Serie A title following their 2-0 win over Sampdoria on Sunday. Cristiano Ronaldo scored his 31st goal of the season. This is Juventus' 36th league title.
I wouldn't be surprised if it becomes 19th in a row by the year 2030.
Manchester United and Chelsea secured Champions League place on the final day of the Premier League season. Watford, Bournemouth, and Norwich relegated back to Championship.
Down they go.
And finally, according to Stack.com, NFL water boys make about $53,000 per year on average. Where do I sign up?
Let's sign up tomorrow itself.
I mean, they should be called. They should be given a different name, like hydration guy or hydration master or something like that. I mean, water boy sounds too high school.
Or just like NFL water team.
Exactly. I mean, give them something cool,
Just like the Washington football team.
Yeah, make it cooler, man.
So today is a special day, last day of the Premier League. Although originally it wasn't scheduled for today, but because of the pandemic, it lasted longer than we or everyone wanted. So instead of me going through all these teams and taking 30-40 minutes of details and boring talks, we've created obvious one-liner season review for every teams. That's only going to take a couple of minutes.
Yeah, so the idea of this review is basically me acting like one of those fans from the team. So it can be diluted or it can be, full of excitement, but I'm just going to try and make it short.
Before you start, I don't know if you have included this in your season review, but I have a trivia for you.
Oh, yeah. We forgot about the trivia. Go ahead.
So out of these 20 teams in the Premier League, only one team hasn't scored from outside the box this season.
I think it might be Bournemouth.
I'll give you till the end of the show. So are we starting from the champions or the bottom?
Let's start from the bottom.
Let's go then. Norwich City, the Canaries.
At least we beat Man City 3-2. Someone please buy Cantwell for 50 million.
The Hornets of Watford.
Just gonna watch the Liverpool game highlights till we get back in the Premier League.
Liverpool's invincible gone. Bournemouth, AFC.
Premier League will taste different without the cherries in it.
The Villains.
How was Jack Grealish not the player of the season?
The Hammers.
Give David Moyes the time he deserves, and we will finish 12th next season.
The Brighton Seagulls.
All I know from this season is we survived. That's it.
The Crystal Palace Eagles.
Like, dear God, man, we are like the Washington Redskins of Premier League.
Except for a proper name. Newcastle Magpies.
Move over, Man City. There's a new sheriff in the league, and he got a huge pile of money to spend.
The Toffees.
Well, that was absolutely f***ing
Southampton.
What a comeback, lads. It's like we never lost 9-0 to Leicester.
The Clarets of Burnley.
The whole season felt like we were playing with 11 defenders at all times.
The Blades.
For a moment, I really thought we were going to do a Leicester.
I thought so too. The Gunners.
I know I've been saying this for like past 10 years, but damn it, Kroenke out. Aubameyang, please don't leave.
Kroenke out. Wolves.
It doesn't matter what others say. We play the best football in the whole league.
The Spurs.
Our Amazon Prime documentary surely will be more exciting than our normal gameplay. Work your magic, Harry.
I'll have my popcorns out. The Foxes.
He did it again, didn't he? Brendan Rodgers bottled 14-point lead. Pack your bags, Brendan.
Chelsea's Blues.
Mate, can't wait to win the Premier League next season and then fire Frank Lampard right after it. Let's go.
Manchester United. Ole at the wheel.
Listen, I don't want to sound too extreme, but if only we had signed Fernandes in the beginning, we would have won the league and the Champions League and the FA Cup. Oh wait, we lost the FA Cup and we're not in the Champions League, but still would have won it.
Way too lofty. And their noisy neighbors.
No, we don't want any more domestic trophies anymore. Let's focus on the Champions League this year, lads.
And finally, the champions.
It was men versus boys, basically. Too easy. Treble next year.
Interesting choices there, isn't it?
I mean, that's me, man. That's my review for the entire 20 teams.
Yeah, I kind of like it. It's pretty creative.
I mean, creative is my middle name.
But no matter how creative you try to be, you're always biased at some point. Let's try not to be too biased, okay? Let's hand out some awards, shall we?
All right, let's go.
So, who's been your most impressive and most disappointing team of the season?
Most impressive, popular choice would be Liverpool, but I'm going to go with Sheffield. And disappointing has to be Everton.
You hit the nail on its head when you said Sheffield United. The Blades, phenomenal. Man, their back three, system that the back three overlapping their fullbacks and their strikers, different system and system in which the players are full of championship quality, but they showed that they're ready for the Premier League, you know?
Absolutely. I think they would be a little disappointed that they didn't make the Europa, but apart from that, a great season for the starters.
Yeah, right now they will feel like they didn't make the Europa League, hard done by, and so. But time will heal. You know, a couple of months later, when they start new season, you know, they'll be like, "Oh, okay, we did a thing." As far as disappointing, although Manchester City finished second and ahead of their rivals, I have to be disappointed in Man City. They couldn't even challenge against Liverpool. They had like 100 points the season before, and then 98 or 97 before. So.
But Everton finished 12th with the money they spent.
They've been disappointing all along, ever since I think Roberto Martinez was there, and Seamus Coleman, Leighton Baines, who we'll get into later in the show. They were marauding down the flanks. They've never been the same, so surprising factor isn't there no more. How about the players?
The players, impressive. This has to be a one-sider, right? The Kevin De Bruyne.
See, De Bruyne never fails to amaze me, but we know what he's capable of, right? So impressive has to be someone in the beginning who we thought wasn't really going to be good or wasn't really going to be a standout. So I would have to go with Danny Ings.
How about Bruno Fernandes?
Don't get me wrong, he has been impressive, but he always had good statistics before coming to the Premier League. So with the talent around him,
changed the whole team for us.
I'll rather give him a full season first.
What about disappointing player?
I would have to go with Bernardo Silva.
Oh wow, Silva.
I feel like we forgot about him, didn't we? Like he was their standout player last season.
Yeah, I mean, he might be the player of the season last year for Man City.
Like, what happened to the dude?
I actually included Nicolas Pepe in my most disappointing player of the season.
I feel like you expected a lot from the Ivorian.
I did. I mean, look at the striker he got. He just failed to provide any assist or
No. He actually has had a decent opening season. I mean, price tag was too much, but he probably had, I think, almost like a double-digit assist and almost double-digit goals. Nowhere near compared to what he produced last season, but still, for a beginner, let's just give him one more season, okay? Because, like I always say, the creativity in Arsenal's midfield is non-existent. So you can't really totally blame on him as well. However, one thing I criticize him for is his lack of ball retention. He gives the ball away too easily at times.
All right, moving on from Nicolas Pepe. How about the standout player from the relegated team?
See, if you're asking player, I'll just say a few players, if that's okay. I picked Nathan Ake from Bournemouth, standout center back. Todd Cantwell and Emiliano Buendia from Norwich City, and Doucouré from Watford.
Yeah, I got Todd Cantwell and Nathan Ake too, and I included Ismail Yassar from Watford.
He is a good talent, but he hasn't shown throughout the season that consistency yet.
I mean, yeah, it's just a bad team. Watford was just pretty horrible at the end, but I do believe he should be playing, with a team like I would say
a mid-table team basically.
Exactly, yeah, maybe like Everton next season or something like that. Who you got for manager of the season?
You probably already guessed it. I've been heaping praise on Sheffield United, so I can't go no wrong than Chris Wilder.
I think we got the same one. I mean, Klopp might be the obvious winner or popular choice just because of the champions and all, but yeah, for me, it has to be Chris Wilder.
Yep. Didn't we expect Klopp or Liverpool would be good already? So Chris Wilder, man, they were relegation favorites in the beginning. So now.
And also, what you got for probably the most exciting game of the season?
See, I've been a little disappointed this year, to be honest with you, as far as games goes. Individually, we haven't really had that, 8-goal thriller, like somewhere around that, comeback and stuff like that. But still, there were a few games. I think I want to pick that Sheffield United game.
Oh, that 3-3.
Yep.
Yeah, we were dead for like 70 minutes, and all of a sudden decided to put 3 goals in 10 minutes. A weird game. Also, what about City and Wolves game, where
that was pretty good.
Yeah, I think that might be the best game for this season.
See, this might sound a little lofty, but I watched the Man City Norwich game where Norwich City basically hammered Man City. The quality in that game was outstanding. Norwich City at that point was playing fabulous football, silky, like first touch, pace on the ball, like their passing was exquisite, and finishing was good too. When Pukki was a good marksman.
He's like Joe Ingles, man, the uncle type who scores goal.
Did we miss out anything? I think we still have the team of the season. Let's do it next after some sports update.
New York Jets running back Le'Veon Bell sounded surprised and betrayed upon hearing the news Saturday that Jamal Adams has been traded to Seattle Seahawks.
Wait, didn't he do similar like a couple of years ago though?
It's ridiculous, man, the whole thing.
That week 14 clash between them is going to be hella interesting.
Jamie Vardy becomes the oldest player to win the Premier League Golden Boot at age 33. Kevin De Bruyne won the Playmaker Award with 20 assists in one season.
20 assists.
And finally, since 1982, Melbourne, Australia has been the birthplace to more number one overall NBA draft pick than any other city in the world
Since when?
since 1982.
I don't know where you got that stat from. Let me guess a couple. Ben Simmons,
Yep.
Kyrie Irving,
hmm One played for Warriors. He was a
Warriors.
center.
Oh, hold on. Oh, you said number one pick?
Yeah, well, not the number one overall pick. I mean, first rounder overall pick.
First rounder. Okay. Andrew Bogut.
Yep, that guy.
I saw Ben Simmons' story growing up. It's fabulous.
The only thing that didn't grow up was his shooting jumpers.
It's getting better. Trust me. Instead of weekly team of the week, this time we're gonna go one better and do team of the season.
For the Premier League, or are you combining everything?
I'll just do Premier League just because full round of fixtures.
Okay.
So my formation is 4-3-3. I'll start Nick Pope in goal for Burnley.
Where was Dean Anderson?
Yeah, he's an honorable mention. He's been good, but he's had a few errors leading up to goals. Even today, he had one error, like little error. So I've seen a few errors. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's an outstanding goalkeeper. He has had a great season, but you'd have to look at Nick Pope. He should be England's number one. Guy is underrated.
Debatable, but go on with the defenders.
Defenders, should be pretty straightforward. My fullbacks, Trent and Andrew Robertson. I'll add a third Liverpool player in there, Van Dijk, of course. His leadership. And the fourth one, you might be surprised, Zone Yegan from Sheffield United.
What about Laporte?
Laporte, are you being sarcastic or?
No, I mean, I'm actually serious because he was injured like most of the games. But...
Yeah, for 6 months he was injured, and City had a disastrous backline. So,
but after he came back, they were right back in track.
Yeah, a little bit, but no, he's not even in the frame. Nowhere. He didn't even play full quota of games, anyways. Honorable mentions were Kaglar Soyuncu of Leicester City. He was definitely missed today. And then James Tarkowski of Burnley again. So let's go to the midfield, Selvig. No surprises. I have De Bruyne, Henderson, and guess the third one.
Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, you'll be screaming at this,
Did you actually put Fernandes in there?
Yeah. I was tempted not to just because he didn't play a full quota of games. Jack Grealish,
Yeah, I think that's
and NDD come to mind.
I think that's unfair to Jack Grealish, man. Even though I like the idea that you get Fernandes on the team, and also no team has won more points after Fernandes joined United. But come on, man, Jack Grealish, you gotta put him in there.
So I'll give you my reasons why I put Fernandes. He just gave that boost, that change that needed for United because they were way off.
Oh, like I said, I agree. We're 14 points off.
And he was reliable as well. It's not just his presence, but his production as well.
Yeah, but still, Jack Grealish played the entire season and put the team on his back.
That's true.
I would take Henderson out and put Jack Grealish in there.
I have to put someone of a leadership figure in there too. Anyways, moving forward, I have Mane, Vardy, and guess the third one.
I hope it's not Salah.
Definitely not. Should be obvious by now. I've already soured praises on him. Danny Ings.
Oh, you're gonna go two strikers on top?
Oh yeah, I've gone Mane, Ings, and Vardy. Might not look good on paper because both Ings and Vardy are up top, but Vardy will run down the channel from the left.
But you say 4-3-3.
Yeah, 4-3-3. Mane, Ings, and Vardy.
You have to include someone who plays right center forward instead of just playing two.
See, I'll
strikers.
probably I could have done that, but I went with Mane, who could play on the right, maybe, because he's used to playing on the left. He could play on the right, and then Ings through the middle, and then Vardy through the left, just for a change.
Or you still got time. You can change. I would say put Danny Ings out and
put Aubameyang on the left.
No. What has Aubameyang done this season to be in Team of the Year? Nothing.
22 goals.
Useless goals. I mean, for
No,
Arsenal
I
to
mean,
be.
yeah, he's not in my team. I'm just giving you options because you're trying to fill in with someone else.
Yeah, someone who would be more accurate to the position instead of just putting two strikers in one position. Or
Yeah, so I can make a team with a great chemistry and not, discard a few players. So, I have to sacrifice a few players if I had to do that, but I didn't want to sacrifice these top talents. Raul Jimenez was an honorable mention. He led the line, didn't he? And even Adama Traore, but he didn't perform throughout the season. So
Sterling.
yeah. I mean, he could be, but he didn't have as good of a season as last season. And here's the thing: sometimes we judge these players based on their team's performance, and since City didn't perform as we expected, they aren't in there.
All right. I mean, Danny Ings in the team of the season. It does. Let's just say it does not sit right with me having Ings in a team of the season. But it's your call, man.
Hey, like I always say, it's totally debatable. You have 20 teams. Each team probably has 20 to 25 players, so you have a pool of like 400, 500 players, among which, of course, there's like 30, 40 outstanding players throughout the season. But it's just hard to, come to terms. Talking about hard to come to terms, Premier League is gonna miss a few outstanding talents of the game or outstanding talent of the modern Premier League soccer. We'll find out next.
The New York Knicks have selected Tom Thibodeau as their next head coach starting from next season into a 5-year deal.
Wasn't he at Minnesota recently with Jimmy Butler?
Yeah.
Another disaster waiting to happen.
Manchester City midfielder David Silva will return to Etihad Stadium for a proper send-off after making his final Premier League appearance for the club in Sunday's 5-0 thrashing of Norwich City, manager Pep Guardiola said.
One of the greatest midfielders the Premier League has ever seen.
And finally, Joe Thomas did not miss a single snap in his first 10 years in the NFL. He played 10,363 consecutive snaps, but never made it to the playoffs.
Yep, I saw that stat when that streak got broken a couple of years ago. Phenomenal, man.
I mean, what a waste of a career.
Right. See, talking about Joe Thomas, when that stat was given by NFL, I realized although his team was trash, he got recognized.
Oh yeah, he made the Pro Bowl like multiple times. I think in an interview he said at one point he didn't even knew who was quarterback behind him, so he was just basically going out there field with no intention of winning at all. That's how bad the Browns were.
Quick story. I don't want to go too deep because it's Premier League special. But when I first started watching, American football, one of the guys that played college football for the college that I went to, he explained me, about football, and he was a guard. And when I asked who is your role model or who do you look forward to watching, and he said Joe Thomas from the Cleveland Browns. I knew Cleveland Browns were a terrible team. I was like, why does he regard a player from a team that's worse in the NFL out of 32 teams as the best player in that position? And I was like, okay, talent gets recognized in the NFL.
Have you seen Joe Thomas right now?
Yeah, I think he lost a few pounds actually, and he's an analyst, or he has a podcast or something.
Oh, dude, he's bulked up. He not only did he lost few pounds, he's shredded now.
Yep.
Shredded like
Yeah,
actual.
Yeah, good for him. See, all of these offensive, all of these guards after retiring, I've seen shredding a lot of,
Yeah, just going straight into the buffets.
Not like defenders, eh? Of course not. Silva invited to shoot almost. He will now, won't he? Oh, that's brilliant. That is brilliant. Solo goal, David Silva. He just waited and waited and picked his spot. It's his first Premier League goal.
Well, if we'd have had Manchester City fans inside the Etihad, they would have been reaching for their handkerchiefs, because this is the end of David Silva, one of the greatest players since the inauguration of the Premier League. He will go down in the Hall of Fame. He's embraced by all his teammates, universally liked all around the game of football, all around the world. He goes about it with a minimum of fuss, almost shy in retiring, doesn't seek the limelight. He does all his talking with his feet.
So today was the final Premier League game for one David Silva, the Spaniard who transferred to Manchester City from Valencia back in the summer of 2011, has won multiple titles for Manchester City and defied and cemented his place in the folklore of one of the modern greats of the Premier League. Although he has a few games left for Manchester City in the Champions League, it was a sad farewell for him and all these Manchester City teammates.
Yeah, like you mentioned, man, David Silva. I think every time we talk about the great midfielders of the game, he should be included. I mean, for Chelsea, Lampard; for Liverpool, Gerrard; United, Scholes. And when we talk about these players, I think David Silva has to be there when we talk about Manchester City, right after Vincent Company or Yaya Toure. He's like right behind, or maybe Aguero too.
Definitely. He's not as vocal as Vincent Company and all these other guys that you have mentioned, but he leads from the front by his performances. His passing is probably one of the best passers of his generations.
Yeah, he's like a salt in a food, man. When it goes missing, you absolutely feel the difference of it.
Absolutely, and rightly so. Citizens have won so many titles with him, and every game I watched without him in the side last few years, you could easily see the void.
I mean, Phil Foden got one hell of a shoes to fill in.
I have a couple theories on David Silva, in fact. So when David Silva arrived in the Premier League, you know how Spanish players aren't physically competent. All of these critics were like, David Silva wouldn't last in the Premier League because he's not physical enough. He's minute. He's diminutive. He'll get pushed away too easily, and so on. But 10 years on, defied the odds. So exquisite. His first touch, his vision, everything, and the way he plays, like he's like, there's no anger. There's no extra temperament in him.
Yeah, everything that you want in a player as a midfielder, he has it. I mean, the quality, and the personality that and the work ethics. He just is on top of it.
Even I doubted him when he came to Manchester City. He came from Valencia, and he and David Villa were the two top guns. Him and David Villa were the two top dogs in Valencia. They were producing goods year after year, and David Villa went to Barcelona, and David Silva came to Manchester City. Usually, what happens in Spain is from these clubs such as Sevilla and even Valencia, the second tier clubs. They're basically feeder clubs for Barcelona and Real Madrid. They basically take their best players, but David Silva wasn't cherry picked by either Real Madrid or Barcelona. So what that meant was, I thought he wasn't good enough to make that step up. You know what I mean? What I'm trying to say? I thought he was ignored by Barcelona and Real Madrid, so he wouldn't be this good, but he's totally defied my odds.
Do you think if he had a chance, do you think he would make the Barcelona team of Xavi and Iniesta?
Absolutely. He wouldn't replace any of these guys, but they would actually try to find a system where they could fit Silva in. And I'll tell you why. And the Spanish national team had the likes of Iniesta, Busquets, Xavi already. So they just fit in Silva. So I think he would fit in pretty good. Wouldn't it?
Yeah. The system that Pep put out for Manchester City, which was pretty similar to Barcelona, back in his days. So I mean, look at the similarities between the plays. I think Silva would make the cut.
Like you mentioned, Pep's flexibility is a great bonus, or was a great bonus for this Barcelona side, and they had a fluid system. You know, all these midfielders, we don't even know where they were actually playing. They were just moving from one side to another, and they had the ball like 80% of the times. They just had to make their own position. You know, hopefully he comes to the MLS though. I would love to see him play at least a couple times.
I think he would probably go to La Liga just to get back into his home place. You know, get settled somewhere in a mid-table team.
Yeah, that's a good option, but all these some of these players who wanna expand their brand or so come stateside. That helps. Let's see. He might join force with Xavi in Qatar or somewhere. From one Premier League legend to another, Leighton Baines has announced his retirement at the age of 35.
Yeah, man. That for me, every time I watch Everton play, out of all the players in that team, you know, that Fellaini, those era, the Cahill
Yep.
and all those guys,
Uh-huh.
I I feared Baines more than any other player.
Yeah.
Even as a defender, he was so good at the ball with the crosses, and you know he was so good at coming into the box, and rightfully, I mean he leads the league in assists for defenders.
Yeah, that back line of him, Julian Lescott, and Seamus Coleman, that was phenomenal. You know, he started off with Wigan Athletic. Wigan Athletic came to the Premier League, and he transferred to Everton, and from then on, standout professional. You know, he became a Player of the Year for them quite a few times as well. Yeah, his left foot was amazing. One of the best left backs in the last 10 years the Premier League has ever seen. And I remember when he was at his peak, he played for England as well, quite a handful of a number of times. I think he played in World Cup 2014, and
Yeah,
he nearly joined Manchester United. I think before Luke Shaw joined, they were linked with him, and and I think he was 28 or 29 or maybe 27. He was at the peak of his career. He should have moved to United.
yeah, and David Moyes wanted him to come to United, but you know he was so his loyalty for the club was bigger than the move. And I mean, you can look at it two ways. It did cost him the glory or you know the fame, but at the other side, you gotta respect his loyalty for the club.
He stayed with the Toffees, but sometimes that makes me realize sometimes sometimes these athletes, they don't have a huge window. They only have a small chance, a moment where they could move into better things, and if they don't take that chance, then I'm not saying it's a regret. He's had a blessed career. He's had an outstanding career, but sometimes he might look back upon and say, I should have moved on, or
Yeah,
went for better offers.
absolutely.
Those are the two players that have retired or tried to leave Premier League. We'll definitely know a few more. We'll do so in the coming weeks. The Premier League starts in 7 weeks.
Yeah, actually, I'm a little surprised, man, because we still got to play Europa, so it's kind of unfair. But I mean, City got Champions League to play, so Liverpool will be well rested before the season.
Yeah, I think teams would just be blessed to play. I mean, right now let's just play and not complain, shall we? Because remember the times were of pandemic where we didn't have games, and
Some dark times, man.
talking about the pandemic, there were quite a few changes before and after the pandemic. Of course, we expected the quality wouldn't be the same. So, how did it pan out for you?
I think the first game after the pandemic wasn't it
It was
City,
Aston Villa and
Aston Villa
Sheffield.
and Sheffield? Yep. I was really stoked for it. I was excited just because we have soccer back, something to watch on. But without the fans, it was just so dreadful, man. Even the next game, City versus Arsenal, it just felt so different. And with the fake crowd noise, it was just lacking the atmosphere and everything. But that's pretty obvious. And also, you know, the players' quality and all. It just felt like watching MLS game for me.
Yeah, let's just say it wasn't unexpected, especially in the beginning. The quality wasn't there at all. But and we also got used to the fake crowd noise, and it just became a new normal. And hats off to everyone involved who tried to make it a success. All these players, all these Premier League committee, whoever referees, everyone involved to make it. Let's not forget the NHS.
Yeah, and the Black Lives Matter movement, that kind of gave a little bit of extra motive for players to go out there and perform. And again, like you said, on top of that, all the league officials, the way they handle the pandemic, and the players, to be honest with you, I mean, kudos to them for not actually breaking the protocols and staying in shape, getting themselves ready for the game.
It's a joke. You're going about VAR this, VAR that. Help the officials out. Clearly they need help. Clearly, we play in the Premier League, the best league in the world, the most watched league in the world. Give them all the help they need, because clearly they cost us 2 points a day. It's a joke.
Last but not the least, do you have the answer to your trivia? Are you sticking with Bournemouth or changing?
What was the question again?
So out of all these 20 teams, there's only one team that hasn't scored from outside the box.
So outside the box, I think I'm going to go with. Well, I'm just going to go and give it a guess right now. Everton.
Well, you're not far. It wasn't for a lack of trying. It's the Hornets, Watford.
Watford. Yeah, I
Miserable.
mean, I could have picked either of the three teams from the relegation, but just because the Everton season, man, it just picks sick to my stomach with the way they played the whole season. So I just put it out there.
Yeah, I feel like the more I look into Everton's miserable it looks. They were just so inconsistent. Like one game they played all right. I feel like they basically got a free ticket to stay in the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, with managers they got, Ancelotti, and the players they got, you can't be putting a performance like that.
So before we end the show, please don't forget to subscribe on various podcasting platforms such as Apple, Google, Spotify, and Radio Public. Thank you for listening to us. Before I say goodbye, I'll put Avi on the spot. Who'll win the Premier League next season?
The obvious answer would be City or Liverpool, but since I'm wearing a United shirt, yeah, let's go for it.
I should have known.
I mean, what do you want me to
Anyways.
say? Do you want me to say, oh, we're not going to win the league next year? Of course, I'm going to believe we're going to win, but
Like I said, it's the hope that kills you. That's pretty much it for today. Thank you for listening to us. If you have any feedbacks, any comments, any reviews, do let us know. Follow our IG page where you can find all the latest memes, news, stats. Once again, thank you for listening. We'll see you next time. Goodbye. Peace.
I'm going to miss the day drinking, man.